So welcome everybody. This is our fourth Verse to Music session. As many of you know, Verse to Music initiative is a part of a creative side project of Khyentse Vision Project. There's a couple of reasons why we started this project. The first reason was that Jamgön Kongtrul of Shechen asked us to start working on some metered verse for some of Khyentse Wangpo's poems and songs and prayers. And then secondly, we really wanted to have a platform where we can collaborate with a bunch of musicians and artists who are inspired by these poems and songs to create art and music. And then, of course, part of the bigger reason is just that there's a lot of people on the team who are passionate about music and art. And we know that in Tibet, many of these dharma songs and poems were always sung and danced to and were part of the creative culture in Tibet. So we feel that we really want to contribute to transmitting this same culture over to the West, where dharma songs become something that's really ordinary and that's very inspiring for practitioners and part of their everyday life. So without further ado, I want to welcome Gesar, who is our special guest for today. Gesar, as many of you know, is one of the sons of Chögyam Trungpa Rinpoche. He's also a documentary filmmaker, and he's also got some very interesting projects on the side, which he will tell us a little bit more about later. So I'm going to hand over to Zach and Christian, who will be the MCs for this event, and please enjoy yourselves.
Thanks, Troma. Hi, everyone, and welcome. My name is Zach Beer. I'm the lead of the Khyentse Vision translation team, and we're really happy to be here tonight with a group of musicians, along with Gesar Mukpo, along with my colleague Christian from the Khyentse Vision translation team. So, Gesar, I understand that we wanted to jump right into one of the videos that you wanted to share.
Yeah, if you could play one of the audio tracks here, one of the songs here. Yeah, start out with that for 30 seconds. So yeah, Kush couldn't make it today, but that is a K Kush and G Tashi track, Om Mani Padme as its title. I guess sort of a little bit of I'm Gesar Mukpo, but a little bit about introducing myself, and in particular in relation to this podcast is I spent the last year sort of on and off with all these incredible young Tibetan hip hop artists, and a lot of time with this one particular family, and they're just so talented. It's absolutely incredible, and they're definitely bridging the gap and bringing things in a really incredibly modern way. Let's play this one next. Go ahead. We'll play this clip of K Kush, little video of K Kush.
Maybe this is something I'm good at.
Oh.
Was there any moment where you started to be like, hey,
see if you can get it going there?
It was the time when we made D-Town, you know? I mean, before that, we made a lot of music, but it was okay. It went well, you know? I'm not saying
get this going, but yeah, K Kush and G Tashi,
cool.
They work together. They live in Dharamsala, and they're
but when we made D-Town,
basically there's this whole group of young Tibetans that met through the TCV, the Tibetan school, and they learned, they had like music production classes there, and so this whole group of young Tibetans met, which is another thing that's really interesting, is it was kind of a real moment in time. Currently there's very few like new Tibetans coming over to these schools, and so it's kind of like this culture is like this real sliver in time, but we have these incredible Tibetan artists. Let's just see if we can. Are we able to get the video playing, Doma?
Yeah, I don't know why that didn't work. Let me try one more time.
Yeah. So let's see K Kush for a minute.
1 second.
I could see the video actually. When you
You
just
could?
stop. Yeah.
As hey, you know, I can make music. Maybe this is something I'm good at.
Oh,
Was there any moment when you started to be like, hey, this might be my thing?
it was the time when we made D-Town, you know? I mean, before that we made a lot of music, but it was okay. It went well, you know? I'm not saying it's not good, but it's cool, you know? But when we made D-Town, and that was crazy, you know? I mean, we were just jamming. He called me, Tashi, called me to my room, called me to his room, you know? My room na doi rock, Tashi room na doi, ani, on the jamchi, you know? Thambo jamchi. And the tune came out, you know? And that's me, bro. That's me, bro. This is my friend right over there, DJ Tracks. That's the time of the touching chip. I mean, I started my guitar lesson very late. The thing is, you know, I mean, my guitar start chime. I could have started like when I was in school, you know, but I didn't start. I was taking easy, you know. I was not taking it serious. Not serious to take my religion, but when I finished my school, like 12th standard, only graduated 12th standard, you know. I think guitar, this giant goes I started taking, you know, like, I mean, not like individual lesson, but I started learning from YouTube. I was suspended from college. College suspension for 8 months, you know. Yeah, due to some reason. Yeah, confidential. But yeah, they suspended me, right? So suspension, I'm not there. And for 8 months, I had nothing to do, right? And I didn't tell my parents. You know, I told my sister, that's it. And yeah, I just later, don't tell Palama, Malale Palama, you know. And yeah, so 8 months I had nothing to do. So I was in Bangalore, and my parents were sending me money, thinking that I was going to college, you know, the fees and everything. You know, but I was wasting it, you know. But I know I gotta do something, right? I mean, I know guitar. I was like, I'm not lying, right? I like 7 to 8 hours in a day. I was like playing guitar on guitar. My fingers were fucking numb.
Great. So that's a little kind of a little snippet from my film, which we'll see a little bit more in a second. But I mean, all of these kids are Tibetans. They grew up in Tibetan culture. Religion is a huge part of their life, and you know they grew up with both. But they're also incredibly current with what's going on. So they're bringing some really modern stuff to the music. And I think one thing in particular, like for Tibetan culture, it's like music is everything. One of the things that I found out in the process of doing this was sort of became more familiar with Gorshe, which is like every week the Tibetans gather and dance in the middle of town. And it's like, you know, in you know, across Indian refugee communities, but also the United States and Europe. And it's just like, you know, it's like music and dance are at the heart of the culture, and it kind of transcends occupation. It transcends boundaries. It transcends time. And it's like a matter of pride and identity. And in the same way, music is this, you know, for Tibetan culture, it's this hugely important part of the culture. And it's also an incredibly powerful tool resistance. And I think, the fact that we have artists making music in Tibetan now is so important for the Tibetan community in all of its forms. So if we can play so what you're about to see is a demo for my documentary, which is it's a ways off. This is the first time anyone is seeing this, but this is kind of going to give you a little idea. And at the center of it is this family, the Namgyal family, who just, I became so close with them, and they're so talented. It's unbelievable. So if we could play that, yeah.
What do you call those monkeys? I forgot. You said monkeys, right? In Tibetan we say pa. P pa. No, choneda. Lo chulha storio. Ne pala nyama pyugelare. Ani amladında kimza mama chin diyor. Ni pala source of income main do chawrio. Jelata amla lega do chi chine usum siora. Lilo che mario ansamoyo. Chigurata life na all the neji music the main do che dio. Chunju ne gordan da bodio. Ndi maung bai dir sama no di emotion de ningjimut music the chikalota life paru chigura. So yeah, music really means a lot to me. College first year in Dio, Di Gerio. Tanda mo lo chungire lo choksum chadorio. And shade so more than you shade so in you cute, more you cute so in Jumu Yaborio. And Yamdo, yeah, more yearning Jumoria. So I'm really lucky. Close the more doping of magic. Nangla Leyland yo. Kalan Chigala. Mo nangla Lane is in also color family di Chiga. The bad core unity shasa. So everyone's like so happy. Sama kiwe dirio. So thanks to Diki.
ngala phebajigla nga kharero sorgi dilana 당zo pyumi 상마 수조지다 룽바 pödi 당zo shorshira ina 당zo pheb아지 당zo 기익 된서라 가시 인바이나 당zo 그래 벼걸라야 그래 오교 치치다 가시 인바이나다 벼걸라다 장 디걸라 망아장 가시나 벽에 돌아가려게 가시 뷰이장 인루치 카한 장시라 디갈란다 나다다 조조 인바이나다 와라니 하래 벼시 뷰이걸라다 안조 벽에 돈이 셰로스 랩도스 치유라 당아랑 보고 친구된지 나다 그런 그래 셰로 탑 셰로 당친이 하래 그래서 inspired 기들을 답송아랑 저 야고베 기들 하나다 제가 충화된제다 하래 지금까지야 당주 당아랑 치야된 당한데도 친구 말라 이내 당알 충화라 그래서 별바지다 셰로 단디 망아니엔 조다 인디로라 망아 가치라 안운디랑 저 야고베 기들
I was born in Tibet and I came here when I was like 8. I didn't ever know like what's gonna happen. Like even when my mom and dad like was like waking me like up in the middle of the night and saying like you have to go now. Then my grandpa was waiting there in the truck there. Like I was little, so I didn't even know where I was going at the time. And then when I reached like the border, then I realized like I was going somewhere.
Took our country, right? Yeah, but now they're took our history, took our culture, taking our, our essence of Tibetans to completely forget the, roots. I think that's the plan of China, I guess.
I would say Eminem is my English teacher. Because I learned English like listening to his songs. Any words that I didn't understand, I looked it up in the dictionary.
Okay, I want to say that first time when I saw the small girl, she's like prodigy, Digi. that small girl, she's rapping. You know, I was like, bro, you gotta do it more. It's not as a challenge. I mean, we'll grow together, you know. You know, it's a healthy.
Okay, there you go. Awesome. Yeah, so that gives you a little look into what I've been up to. And I mean, I've just become so much more involved in the Tibetan community and just learned so much and really have great connection with all of these kids.
Gesar, can you tell us a little bit about how did you first get in with these musicians? What inspired you to start doing this film? And I don't know, I'd be curious about how long these kind of communities of hip hop musicians have been around for as well.
Yeah, well, you know, I knew I wanted to do a film about something around the Tibetan community, and you know, I wanted to be like current. And my whole thing is like, you know, there's the religious and spiritual side, but there's also another side, which is just the youth, sort of what the youth are doing now, which, you know, it's like kind of transcending cultures. And I knew I wanted to show another side of, you know, what was going on in the Tibetan community. And so I started sort of researching, and I'd heard of Tibetan hip hop before, but it was kind of like a novelty, just, you know, like, not that they're great artists, but it was like there were a couple doing it, and it was interesting because it was Tibetan. And like, you know, it's like 7 years later, I'm going back to look, and all of a sudden it's just, there's like all this incredible music, and, you know, the production is high, and the videos are, you know, incredible. It's like the explosion of sort of technology and know-how, and the fact that they have this community where they just share knowledge and support each other, and you can just send things across the internet. You know, I had this really powerful moment where it was like, I started looking, and then I realized it's like, this is actually good, you know, and I literally, you know, like it brought tears to my eyes. I was like, wow, it's like, you know, it's not like a novelty anymore. It's like they're actually like, you know, gone further than that. And these kids are talented. And so I started reaching out to them. And once again, it's like, you know, technology is incredible. Within like 5 minutes, I got responses back. And me and Ugin, you know, the brother in that act, we started talking on Instagram, and just had a really close relationship and sort of similar experiences of certain things in our life, and just really connected. And all of these kids are just super open. And of course, like the Tibetan community, there's like such unity and, you know, such support of anyone across the board in any walk of life that's doing something to further the community's, you know, ability to survive and, you know, flourish. So I think these young kids have become kind of like icons for a lot of the young Tibetans. And yeah, I started reaching out through the internet, and, you know, everyone was super responsive. And then I spent like 3 or 4 months kind of hanging out with them and following them around. Yeah. So, and the last thing is, you did see Sayn Solo. The last thing is, as far as, you know, the Sarasvatī verse, we do have Sayn compose a little verse, and it's, he said, I'm gonna read his message here. He rapped over Kanye and Jay-Z beat to make it symbolic in culture as a hip hop artist. So it's kind of like the intersection of two cultures for him. I guess, like, what else do I have to say? One other thing is, I did, you know, in doing this, I realized when this film comes out that people will want to go and watch the videos of these artists, and most of them don't have English subtitles. And so we founded, sort of in honor of this family, the Nagmi family, the Namgyal family, and their group, we founded was a Nagmi Media Translation. And basically what we're aiming to do as a nonprofit is translate Tibetan YouTube music videos into English and eventually other languages as well, because we feel it's like really unrepresented in the English language as well. And also just, you know, the other thing was, you know, it was interesting. One of the things was, one of the reasons the music really touched me was because it made me feel like more Tibetan somehow, like I was connected. And I realized that was like an experience that was happening across the world, was that there were maybe people like me that, you know, don't really speak much Tibetan, but we consider ourselves Tibetan. And, you know, so we'll listen to Western stuff because there's nothing, you know, that's what's like new to us. And then to have something, you know, come across where you could feel proud and it was good, and feel some pride in your, you know, origins and stuff like that, that this was an experience that could be shared by people like me. They're sort of on the fringe, you know, and bring them closer into the community in some way. I think it's like been super valuable for me to like reconnect with the community, and it's been through music. Yeah.
Gesar, I have one short question on the film. It's not out yet, I suppose, right? When is it going to be released?
We're working. I don't, I have to be careful in film of like saying a date because I'm not sure, but we're in the process just still of editing it, and hopefully by the end of this year, it'll come out. And also, the idea with this film is also to launch a series that sort of explores different cultures, refugees from different cultures, different communities, and how they're using music as a way to continue their culture outside of their own country. Yeah, so Sayn Solo, who we're going to hear this piece from, he's probably, he's been around for quite a while, but he's a complete musical genius, and he really hasn't had as much exposure as a lot of these other guys, I'd say. But these guys are just their talent is so, they do conceptually, come up with the songs, the music, the lyrics, music videos, print media. It's just it takes like a lot of sort of conceptual, a lot of visualizing, and like they're just, these kids are sort of so talented. The fact they can like do the music and the production, and they like all work together. It was really inspiring to see, and get to know these kids, and the music is really good. If you look at afterwards any of the links like Kush or Tashi or Namgyal Nagmi or any of these kids, they all have this incredible stuff out there.
Yeah, it seems like they have a lot of talent and really supporting each other too. Oh, I think the last video is already coming on. So we want to hear one by Sayn Solo, Noah.
Yeah, this is Sayn Solo.
Yeah,
Sarasvatī. So don't be alarmed.
Sorry to interrupt you.
And stuff. Yeah.
But this is just a sound file, not a video, but we'll.
Vajra Sarasvatī stuti, homage to the divine queen of song. Oh, goddess, as we praise you with deep joy, in a single instant you destroy fetters of samsara that inflict us. I bow to you, mother of all victors. Oh, goddess, with your wisdom, wise and vast, swiftly ever, swiftly moving fast. Take a signal as you cut through clean. I bow to you. Oh, goddess, most supreme. You grant all types of intellect refining. Bestow, what sharp and clever mind, yeah. Perfect insight, price not without measure. I bow to you, vast wisdom treasure. Let me say it again. Perfect insight, price not without measure. I bow to you, vast wisdom treasure. Noble lady with the brilliant and clear moonbeams of this auspicious prayer. Please dispel confusion's murky potion. Make our wisdom swell like an ocean into accumulations. Wisdom mirror, God is a melody. You appear it's deity, mantra and samadhi. Splendidly bestow the twofold siddhi. With three secrets, ladies, peace supreme. Your blessings flow forth like a nectar stream. Purify three obscurations blight. May we always rise into twofold insight. From now until we are completely free, hold us with your kindness, precious lady. May all three realms thereby be placed into perfect wisdom, call it basic space.
Oh wow, that is so cool. I love that one. That's awesome.
So, yeah. So thank you. Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been really exciting to show everything, and I'm obviously going to stick around, but I guess just thank you for giving a voice to these guys too. Yeah.
Great, Gesar. Yeah, we really look forward to seeing your film when it comes out. Thanks for sharing a bit today. And like you said, we hope you're going to stay around for a little bit of Q&A towards the end. But Christian, do you want to move us on to the next portion of the event today?
Yeah. Actually, the last bit we've heard was based on a text by Jamgön Kongtrul. I think we didn't mention that. So Jamgön Kongtrul is the inspiration behind the Khyentse Vision project, who wrote innumerable works, and one of those is a praise to Sarasvatī, the embodiment of awakened knowledge, wisdom, arts, and so we've given the translation by Laura, which then Dolma put into verse to a couple of musicians, and one of those versions is what we just heard, and we're going to listen to others now. So the first one that we're going to listen to is a version by Harry Einhorn. So please, Dolma, share.
Goddess, I praise you. Please break these chains.
Very patient.
These chains that bind me to confusion. Mother of victors, I bow to you. Swiftly, oh so swiftly, please sever ignorance at the root. With wisdom, born of wisdom, goddess of goddesses, I bow to you. Grant me supreme knowledge, the knowledge to see things just as they are. Prajna paramita, supreme infinite wisdom, I bow to you. Om Namo Vajra Sarasvatī Soha. 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 Om Namo Vajra Sarasvatī Soha.
Very, very cool. Thank you. Harry, hi.
Hi, sorry about that.
Hi, nice to see you again
Nice to
after
meet you.
recently.
Yeah.
Harry, do you wanna? What were you thinking? Can you talk to us a little bit about this project?
Well, I think just briefly, this time we kind of had an open invitation to work with the text and choose which verses we wanted, and that kind of in my process it freed me up a bit, and so I went into a studio and just kind of jammed on some of the words and picking out some keywords both from the versified and the original translation, as well as reading the Tibetan and kind of like the rhythm of how it worked to create a lyric that was more concise, to kind of experiment with creating this as a song based on the prayer rather than a setting of the prayer text. And yeah, that's this is what came out, and just wanted to try something simple and from the heart, I guess. Yeah.
Thank you. It's really very, very beautiful.
Thank you.
A similar approach to what I've taken also myself, which we'll hear with Lara, which we'll hear towards the end of this session, is basing our lyrics on the original translation. And I want to point out the original translation of Khyentse Wangpo's text into English was done by Laura Swan, who is translating a number of texts for the Khyentse Vision project. All right, so now I think we can go to the next piece, and that's by Sai Gorman. So please, Dolma, if you can share.
Kamarupini Vidyarambam Karishyami Siddhiri Bhavattu Me Sata Sarasvatī Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambam Karishyami Siddhiri Bhavattu Me Sata Sarasvatī Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambam Karishyami Siddhiri Bhavattu Me Sata.
Goddess, as we praise you deep, sincere and filled with joy, you shatter all our ignorance, samsara's chains and noise. Instantly afflictions in our minds, they fall away. I'm on my knees, I bow to you. Please, Mama, show us how you do this. Goddess, with your wisdom vast and swift, so vast and swift, you cutting through our ignorance, a gift, a mighty gift. Swiftly, ever swiftly, darkness clears, I bow to you, who conquers all our fears. Sarasvatī, it is you.
Sarasvatī Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambam Karishyami Siddhiri Bhavattu Me Sata Sarasvatī Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambam Karishyami Siddhiri Bhavattu Me Sata.
You bestowed the sharpest intellects, the mind so pure, prana of the highest kind, it's you, of this we're sure. Boundless one, we bow to you, your treasures glowing bright, perfectly insightful. Sarasvatī, so delightful. Noble one, to you our prayers of moonlight beaming here, we send them to you, please dispel confused and darkened fears. Your wisdom rising up from deep, we feel your ocean swell. Sarasvatī, it is you, your waves of love, a brilliant hue.
Okay, Sai, do we have Sai here?
Yes, hello.
Hi, Sai, welcome.
Okay?
Yeah,
Thank
we
you so
can.
much.
Great to have you again. We've had you for a few of these events now. Tell us how you approached this particular song.
Yeah, I mean, it's always an exploration, dropping into the qualities of the deity, of the goddess in this case, and then an exploration from there, just looking for sounds, looking for or listening for the inspiration to just flow through. It's such a unique project to be part of, and as the invitation is to really explore perhaps new ways to play with the qualities of the deity in offering and praise. And yeah, so it's also about the convergence of what's going on in life at that point, because the practice is always here and now. So yeah, that's about sounds, that's about what's happening in life and channeling what's happening. Deepa was really, it was beautiful for her to bless the track as well with some gorgeous goddess energy with the Sarasvatī mantra. And yeah, it's an exploration.
Can you tell us more about that? We were behind the scenes a little bit curious about that. How did you integrate that mantra? Or can you tell us more about what that is that you brought in?
Yeah, I invited Deepa to see if she wanted to offer a blessing for the track, and perhaps she can say a few words on the mantra. Would you care to? This is Deepa, everyone.
Oh, hello everyone. Yeah, grateful to be here and to be listening to all the beautiful tracks. What a blessing. Yes, I invited me to listen to the track, and yeah, as I was listening, this mantra just yeah, I re-remembered this mantra. This was a mantra that my mom taught me as a child, and my grandmom taught my mom. Yeah, and so I was like, oh, let's just record you reciting it, and then he did the magic. The mantra is basically bowing down to divine Sarasvatī and asking the mother for greater understanding in life. So yeah.
And I think the practice of the of embracing the energy of Sarasvatī for me, and just the way I work as a producer and an artist sometimes, is what's alive right now, who is around me, who is naturally leaning into and contributing to that energy, and seeing if there's a place where it can find its way into the work. And it just nestled in beautifully with the energy of the track. So yeah, I just want to add one thing, actually. Listening before, this is slightly off topic, but listening and watching Gesar's work before, the tracks, the films, I was really reminded of Red Bull Music Academy. And I was just like, oh my God, imagine if we could have like a Khyentse Vision Project Academy, like a retreat where you pull in artists from all around the world and you have an intensive of making like albums or tracks or launching artists and that kind of stuff. Please make it, and would love that so much. It would be such an incredible thing to have, like a real spiritual retreat, but focused on bringing like the music and dance to all of this. It would be incredible. So that's alive in me right now. Thank you so much for bringing me into this project. I'm so here for it. Yeah.
That's a great idea, Sai. We'll see what we can do about that. Please hang around. We hope to have some conversation and Q&A near the end. But we're going to move on to a clip by another artist that we've worked with before, Alison Wells.
Goddess, as we praise you with deep joy, in a single instant you destroy the fetters of samsara that afflict us. I bow to you, mother of all victors. Goddess, with your wisdom clear and vast, swiftly, ever swiftly, moving fast, the thickest ignorance cut through clean. I bow to you, Goddess most supreme. You grant all forms of intellect refined, and bestow a sharp and clever mind, perfect insight, prajna without measure. I bow to you, vast wisdom treasure. Noble lady with the brilliant and clear moonbeams of this auspicious prayer, please dispel confusion's murky potion and make our wisdom swell like an ocean. Into accumulation's wisdom mirror, Goddess of melody, you appear as this deity, mantra and samadhi. May we attain the twofold city. With three secrets, Lady Speech Supreme, your blessings are a nectar stream to purify three obscurations blight. May we always rest in twofold insight.
Hi, Alison. Nice to see you again. So yes, as
great to be
Zach
here.
mentioned, Zach
have I
mentioned,
frozen?
Alison has been working and collaborating with us a couple of times already. So can you say a little bit, whatever you feel like saying about the track and your process for this version?
Yeah, so this one again a bit similar to the last one. So I often try to work with harmonies to encourage group practice, but for the last two I've been just focusing on melodies and using just a really simple folk-like melody with the idea that it's something that anyone can sing anytime and sort of just integrate into their lives, not just into their practice but into their lives. And this time I decided I was going to learn the ukulele and I thought, oh, I'm going to do it with the ukulele and accompany myself. The consensus was that the electronic version was better. Don't understand why, but but I just got so much joy from just fiddling around on the ukulele and playing however terrible it sounded. And I was practicing and practicing. So I just sang it over and over and over. And it really did kind of seep into my being. And it was just so, I don't know, I was just so grateful for that. And it gave me a bit of because I wasn't playing brilliantly and I was sort of thinking, oh gosh, am I letting Sarasvatī down by being a bad musician? And I was like, no, it's not about that. And then I got a real sense of wisdom is everywhere. It's available to everyone. And I loved the track, the video that I got from Raghav, who was in Beer recently, and he let me use it. And just the fact that it was the sheep. And I thought, yeah, wisdom's not elite. It's something for everybody. And I just felt like it was really, it just had a real sweetness to it and a real compassion, as well as like you could really get the wisdom and the compassion together. And I really enjoyed this one. And I used Dolma's verse translation or verse adaptation, and just really loved doing this one.
And the music is your ukulele playing, right?
No. I ended up using an electronic track. No, my ukulele playing would have been much more rustic.
Next time.
Maybe.
Okay, very good. Okay, I think actually are we gonna move on to Lara and my track now, or? Yes, okay. So so next track is the collaboration between Lara Nova, who is here. We're gonna let her in after this track, and myself. So yeah, please, Dormala.
As here I sing my praise to you, you instantly destroy the chains that bind to pain and woe. To you, Mother, I bow. With pristine wisdom, bright and clear, swiftly you appear to burn the veils that blind this mind. Oh Goddess, please come near. Goddess of speech, lady sublime, drunken with love, I pray, please be mine. Please be mine.
supreme. This mind is perfect wisdom now, fountain of skill I bow. The moonlight of this prelude, my lady, noble wise, dispels the darkness from my mind. May wisdom oceans rise, queen of the arts, lady sublime, drunken with love. I pray, please be mine. Please be mine. Within the pure mind's mirror forms your image, queen of song. With mantra and samadhi may accomplishments be born. Glory of speech, your secrets grace my body, speech and mind. The stays of the three veils to clear, two wisdoms rise and shine. Mother of wisdom, lady sublime, drunken with love, I pray, please be mine. Please be mine.
Okay, so yeah, just I wanted to say 2 words about this. As I mentioned earlier, I took the same approach as Harry, which means I took the prayer from Khyentse Wangpo and also Laura's translation, and then I made my own lyrics based on that because I wanted it to be, you know, to be also my own voice, and I added a chorus also. The chorus is completely made up. This is the line where Laura repeats the please be mine, please be mine. So it's really, I wanted to emphasize the devotional aspect, the love song to Sarasvatī, basically. So Laura, how was it for you?
It was great, thank you. I feel so privileged, honored that you have asked me so many times to join you on these projects. And it's such a pleasure to not just work with you creatively, but to create this space and this presence and this gratitude, and to channel that through music is something that I love and adore anyway. So to have other people come and bring these opportunities to me to tap into energy and spaces together. Yeah, I'm really grateful. Thank you.
So I just wanted to add, I met Lara at an open mic in Hoi An in Vietnam, and I just heard her voice and I was like, yes, that's exactly what I was waiting for. And so I talked to her and immediately she was open and so happy to contribute and participate. And for this particular track, we also had Aman, a friend from India, to play the hand drum, which you hear in the background. So yeah, so thank you very much, Lara. I love working with you. Really amazing. And now we're still going to listen to Fabio's, even though Fabio couldn't join us. Yeah, no, we're not going to listen to this. Right? Can you say?
Zach, you're muted. Hi guys, we'll skip Fabio because he wasn't able to come. So we're just going to move straight on to Kirsten from Bardo Cafe, who will say a few words about how the Bardo Cafe initiative kind of overlaps with the Verse to Music initiative of Khyentse Vision Project. Can you unmute, Kirsten?
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. It's really inspiring to see all of you. You know, the more I work on Badu Cafe, the more I realize, you know, how talented people are. And we have some really talented people in our team as well. And we are also trying to integrate art into conveying the Buddhist teachings and, you know, speaking about the Buddha Dharma in a creative way and using different mediums to do that. So you will have seen Kunga's work in Harry Einhorn's music. So Kunga is a valuable member of the Badu Cafe team. He's creating most of the images, reels, and stories on our Instagram, and he's also designed our website. So without Kunga, we certainly wouldn't be as cool as we are. If you look at our imagery and, you know, how Badu Cafe comes across for young people, it's especially designed for young people. So he's the one who gave us the image that we have and is helping in many ways.
Could you tell us just a bit more about what Badu Cafe is, how it came about, and how it got started? Some of our audience might not know.
Yeah. So Badu Cafe is aiming to communicate 4 teachings of Buddhism surrounding life and death, awareness of dukkha, so the unsatisfactoriness of life that we all experience, as well as mindfulness to young people. And in order to do this, we are using creative mediums, you know, such as artwork, AI art, videos, electronic music, mandala paintings, and voice recordings that can be integrated into the music. So we've been playing around with that a little bit with electronic music, and putting in voice recordings of dukkha, like little messages from people about what they think dukkha is. And so we are working with DJs as well, who are helping to, you know, bring about those messages. And it just allows us to communicate these messages in a fun and secular way. So it's not too sort of religious in a way, because we are trying to attract young people to the Dharma. We're just trying to find ways that are a little bit different, creative, artistic, and just draw people in and maybe make a karmic connection with the Dharma as well. So we are currently working on multiple projects. Badu Cafe is going to offer regular Badu Cafe events in Byron Bay in Australia, to encourage young people to use mindfulness and awareness in daily life. So we will bring in the messages of awareness and mindfulness into our events so people can connect with that, but also just enjoy the music, just have fun, just be together, create a sense of community, and learn more about mindfulness, about being aware in daily life. And then following the events, we will have mindfulness weekends at Lapis in Mullumbimby, which is not far away from Byron Bay. And it will help to allow participants to delve deeper into mindfulness and provide a platform to explore Buddhist concepts. So it's just a follow-up of the Badu Cafe events. If people are interested to learn more about mindfulness, then that's what they can do. And Dr. Ben Isbell is going to hold these mindfulness weekends and is making them as experiential as possible. And then also, last but certainly not least, we are currently organizing online interviews to discuss life and mental health and the general challenges young people are facing these days. So one of the things that Songtse Khyentse Rinpoche has encouraged us to do is to talk about mental health more openly, discussing dukkha, and how we all experience it. And that's in so many ways, you know, it's just there all the time. And doing interviews with either experts or people from all walks of life to just talk about that, to just talk about mental health, and to just talk about the challenges that we are facing, especially young people these days. So that's basically, you know, having the events, having the mindfulness course, and having these interviews, just creating sort of a community for young people, an understanding of dukkha. You know, we're all in the same boat, we're all experiencing the same thing, and offering tools to deal with that, which is awareness and mindfulness. So that's basically what we are trying to do, and using the creativity to convey those messages. Like Dharma has invited us to be part of this Verse to Music session, which is such a great opportunity. And also we are learning so much from you guys on how to do that. So yeah, I'm really excited to be part of this.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks so
you
much,
very much.
Kirsten. Yeah. So on that note, I think it's time to bring Gesar back and all the other musicians. I hope we're all still here and ready for a discussion. So we thought in this last period of time, we could ask each other's questions, bounce off each other. But maybe to get things started, I'd like to direct a question myself to Gesar that is probably on the minds of several people in our audience. Which is, you know, we're all aware of your father's legacy. Trungpa Rinpoche was very invested in music and the arts and creativity. So we're curious what kind of impact that left on you and how that guides your approach.
How long do I have? No. I mean, of course, just sort of growing up in a culture of art and poetry, and it's like in so many different forms: calligraphy, tea ceremony, even archery, you know, kyudo, film, photography, you know, just like so many different forms of expression around me. And so, you know, I guess, you know, I've always had some kind of connection to film, and you know, I got involved in film when I was pretty young. But I think it's, for me, really the last like 3 years I started my own little company, and my, you know, sort of honoring my father's legacy was definitely behind it. And I guess for me, it was kind of a realization of like, this is, you know, this strange combination of skills and background that I have is like, I'm in the exact right place to be doing the thing that I should, which is kind of representing, you know, my culture and my father's story through film. And sort of, for me, I think also a really big thing around my father was that there's been like a lot of controversy around a lot of, you know, Tibetan Buddhist teachers over the last few years. And, you know, this kind of question of like, well, what am I trying to say, or what am I trying to establish by putting this forward? What I kind of realized is, you know, it was kind of in line with the fact that there was this kind of opening of Western culture towards Asian culture. You know, there's like all this kind of stuff in the media. There's actually money for TV shows and films and stuff like that. And I felt like, I think something I may have been mentioning to Dolma, I started to realize there are people who are sort of using my father's teachings in other ways. Like there was this lady talking about working with the military and, you know, with people with PTSD. And she talked about spending a time at a retreat center in Colorado. And, you know, she's explaining shamatha vipassana in the way that my father taught it. So it's like ending up being, you know, user PTSD, or this, you know, they looked at the type of photography. My father's doing contemplative photography, and they realized it kept your eye on the photograph longer than an image that had sort of like a direct center. And so they started bringing it into marketing, you know, using it for that. And it's like all these things are kind of taken and used in different ways. And I felt like, well, you know, regardless of what people can say, you know, having their own opinion, outside of that, he had made this huge contribution to Western culture, just like so many of these teachers did that came over in the 60s and 70s. And it's been kind of rolled into the mindfulness movement and self-help and, you know, whatever, you know, different spiritual movements and yoga, and just like kind of taken at the same time rejected the sort of sources of it in some way. And I felt like it was at least important that we started to like kind of establish at least what was offered by who. So it's kind of clear culturally. And that was like a huge calling for me, film wise. So, my father's kind of the root of everything for me. And I do feel like I'm kind of embodying what his legacy is, as far as like, I can now move into another medium, which is, to those that were close to my father, there's a lot of people, but it's a small amount of people as far as, through history, the people that can sort of take a look at what my father did and what he had to offer. And so it's kind of like looking forward and outward. I felt like I had to represent him in some way. So it's kind of like my creation is from him and my inspiration is from him as well.
Thanks so much. If any of the other musicians have a question for Gesar or a comment or a thought they'd like to share, or the floor is open.
Hi, Gesar.
Hi, Harry. movie star.
Hi, nice to see you, meet you. I'm just curious about kind of like the Tibetan music scene in general, as you've experienced it. I've seen the Tibetan hip hop come up, and also kind of there's like an acoustic singer-songwriter thing going on, and I'm just wondering like if you've been exposed to other genres, or kind of like what you've seen coming up in general in the Tibetan cultural sphere. And also I'm just curious, is that mostly localized around Dharamsala, or do you have any connections with the Tibetans in Tibet, or have any insight into that?
Of course there's artists in Tibet, but I mean, for me, the focus was outside, because there's amazing artists in Tibet, and they have money, they have production, but also in some way their voice might be limited, and there's great artists in Tibet, there's no doubt, but my focus, was, I guess, it's a little bit of a sidetrack here, but I was interested in what's going on because the idea of being a refugee was something that hit me when I watched a documentary years ago, some Brazilian tribe, or maybe it was Mexican, and they were, on the run, basically being run out by people plowing down the forest. And he was like, you look at us and you think like we're different than you, and this can't happen to you or something. But if you don't do something about it, this is going to happen to you too eventually. Like you're not, no one's safe. And like it really hit me, and you really see it nowadays with how many people are being, turned into refugees. As far as the Tibetan community themselves, they, I think one of the things that you'll find with most artists these days is they don't want to be pigeonholed. So they really consider themselves like genre, sort of multi-genre. There's all these guys that can rap, also produce, they play, guitar or other instruments. And so there's like a real scope of different stuff going on. I'd say the younger people are definitely into kind of more modern hip hop is definitely there, but it's really across the board. There's everything. And the other thing I'd say, one of the other big centers is Bangalore, because Bangalore is just like super modern, and there's clubs and there's a scene and there's college people. And so you have a lot of these artists live there just because it's like the weather's nice, the city's modern. And so there's a lot of Tibetans centered around Bangalore as well, and a lot of schools there as well, in the Tibetan communities. But they're not, the Dharamsala was like the nucleus for it for sure, but it's spread out completely across India. I mean, I was like up and down entire India, from like south to north, from Dehradun down to to Bangalore at least. And they're everywhere, making music. Yeah.
Okay, so can I just ask a follow-up on that? I mean, what I've heard from Tibetan leaders, and that's very well represented in the short clip you showed from your video, the concern about the preservation of Tibetan language, how important it is. And I was amazed by this, that girl's, I think, was it Dicky, the girl who was so conscious about that, and really very impressive. But it is a true concern, the loss of Tibetan language, and also in particular literary Tibetan. So my question is, how much in your work with Tibetans in exile and the musicians in particular, did you feel the connection in their life and in their work to dharma, and how do they represent that if they do?
Yeah. I mean, it's just so ingrained in the essence of being a Tibetan, you know, and it actually brings up a really interesting question for me. I mean, of course, they're all devoted, but I had this kind of realization because part of my thing is like trying to describe Tibetan culture outside of this idea of everyone's just, you know, this is a spiritual community. And, you know, as far as like what these kids are doing, like hip hop and that stuff like that, it's their way, you know, it's their way that they're preserving the culture, right? But it's not, they're not, sorry, I'm like kind of losing my train, but they're not, you know, limiting themselves to any particular genre or medium. I'm forgetting your original question, but it's like, as far as, you know, they're completely, you know, these guys are like, they can sing, they can rap, they can write music, they can produce, they can make music videos. I mean, you know, there's,
well,
yeah.
Maybe I can reformulate a little bit. So do you feel that from there, I mean, that's, I think that's very, very clear that there's this amazing potential and amazing creativity in that community. But do you feel also that there is a wish to connect that also to the Dharma? And I'm not saying that Tibetan
sorry, yeah,
culture
that's what I was gonna say. Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Dharma.
So this is what I was going to say. Like, I feel like, you know, it's kind of like almost like a mistake that you make in this kind of realm, which is like, you know, the Tibetans are the way they are because of Dharma. But, you know, the reason that Dharma like flourished in Tibet was because of the nature of Tibetans themselves, you know? And so like, it's not like a Tibetan without Dharma is like, you know, super different than another Tibetan. You know, it's in their nature to be considerate, you know, compassionate, you know, and, you know, I mean, it runs the whole scope, but I mean, the nature of Tibetans is like the sense of unity and being joined. And, you know, especially in these conditions now, it's like, I really sense this feeling of it's, you know, it doesn't matter like what economic background or what walk of life you come from. Yeah.
So you talk about different genres, but you know, a lot of them seem to be gravitating to hip hop. What is it about hip hop that attracts them? Do you think, or why are a lot of them, gravitating towards that? What does it offer them?
I mean, first off, of course, hip hop is just such a universal language, right? The other side is like hip hop has always been used as some kind of voice of like fighting against oppression. And, you know, I talked to a lot of people when I started doing this, who were like, you know, involved in the hip hop community in the United States. And I was like, is this like co-opting something, you know, or like, you know, is this like, am I sort of, you know, doing something I shouldn't be? And it's like, no, it's like, that's the point. Like, this is what we want to see, is like it being used to make a difference in communities, to be a voice for them. And, you know, it's just like naturally, I think there's like the Tibetan identity also really identifies with like hip hop culture. Even if you like, I think a lot of these Tibetan kids, if you talk to them, like they love Black culture. And if you look at them in India, it's like they're wearing different clothes than most people, you know, you can tell a Tibetan by kind of like what they're wearing. I mean, you know, it's something about the culture is like this thing about, of course, having a voice where it's been stifled, you know, so hip hop is like a natural, complete natural, but none of these kids are like, that's all they're doing. They're all wanting to do everything. I mean, if you look at Dickie, which is amazing about Dickie, which is really one of the incredible things, is she's also like one of the top Tibetan opera performers in her school. She's like wins all the competitions, Tibetan elocution, does all the traditional stuff as well as sings, can do hip hop. I mean, it's, you know, so I'd say these kids are talents. They're not just like MCs. And that was really clear early on. They're like, look, I'm not just like an MC. I'm not just a rapper. You know, I'm an artist.
Incredible. Anybody have another question or thought?
Or also, Gesar, if you have questions for the participants.
I mean, my question is kind of funny because it's the same question I have for a lot of these Tibetan kids. I'm like, is there an audience for this kind of stuff? You know, and like that's like this huge question. It's like, how do you get this out there in a way that more people see it? That's part of what I'm trying to do for these kids. But I think it's like a viable question, because like to inspire this kind of stuff, there has to be a forum for it. There has to be, people that want it. And so, I mean, I guess it's like just a question. It's like, how do you make this available for people in a way that it can be more widely consumed?
Do you want to direct that to somebody in particular? That question?
Just anyone that feels like, has any thoughts on that. Yeah.
Can I jump in again?
Please.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate this feeling of importance around, I mean, the idea of retreat, when we go into retreat, and that can center on the practice and the dharma, but also creative retreat. But when you integrate the two, it's just one of the most incredible feelings. And I think just really strongly to iterate, like I would love to see something like bringing a bigger retreat where it's like a really creatively focused retreat, but also centered around aspects of culture and Tibetan culture and the practice as well, and just fusing them. And I think in terms of an audience that can build around that, just really bringing together that hub of energy, of practice and focus and creativity and expression, it can help amplify and spread that kind of expression to draw people towards it. So yeah, I would just love to see that happen somewhere. Yeah. Sorry for repeating myself.
Can I make a comment? I'm interested in the question about audience, because a lot of the work that I've been doing has been more about not so much about performing for an audience, but trying to create musical genres that are participatory. And so either in the sort of group practice context where most people are not musicians. A lot of Australians are very shy about singing. They don't have a lot of confidence in their musical ability. And then the other is in people's personal practice. And so this sort of idea of creating tunes that will become earworms, that then the words of the text becoming integrated with people's minds because it's just going through their head while they're driving or washing up or whatever, like in life. And so I'm kind of, interested in the idea of hip hop as something that people can use as in group practice, because it's very rhythmic, it's very simple, it's got generally on one note or very few notes. And I'm interested, Gesar, in if there's any sort of experience or use of it in that context in the Tibetan community, or whether it's more in the context of performance for consumption, like YouTube and so on, something that most people listen to rather than participating in. So yeah, I'd be interested in insights on that.
Well, when I was in the Norgaling in the settlement, like you walk around in the mornings and you hear like His Holiness Dalai Lama's voice coming off, maybe the telephone of some 90-year-old man, like 6 a.m. It's like the first thing they're doing. I mean, it's like, prayer, music, it's like everywhere, constantly in the community. Yeah. What was your question?
It was more around whether more contemporary musical forms are being used for group practice or individual practice,
right.
or whether formal practice is more sort of in the traditional grain.
For them, I'm sorry. Yeah, just for them, it's like, music is such a part of life that they're just listening to it constantly. So is it like as a practice thing? I don't know, but it's, they're constantly like, it's constantly sort of giving them some kind of self-identity, And it's like they can now listen to Tibetan music, where the older generation and many of these are younger are inspired by Hindi music and Hindi films. Their fathers grew up on Bollywood. It's a big part of their identity. These kids all grew up singing, Hindi films. It's just like part of life. It's like a woven in part of life. So, do they use it for their spiritual practice? I'm not 100% positive about that, but they definitely use it to voice concerns. For instance, one of the songs that Dickie is working on right now is about these schools, the boarding schools that Tibetan children are being sent to, where they can only, they can't learn in their own language. And then they go home, they don't know their own language. And so she said this, this song I'm making is answering for that. So I don't know if it's like used for prayer, but it's like important other part of their identity, which is, things like that. Definitely. Yeah.
I just wanted to.
Oh, sorry, I was supposed to say, and for last thing about that too, of course, these songs do get listened to in Tibet, and these kids get messages from Tibet, and it's probably the most inspiring thing that happens for them is hearing from someone that's like in, mainland, and their songs are being listened to there. It's just like they all express such happiness and joy to get those kind of messages from people. Yeah.
I think at Bardo Cafe in our Gesar, we have the same question, whether it's even making a difference and whether people are even interested in that, bringing out a message with music, especially anything that's sort of Buddhist related. And we are very much working on that still, on how to communicate a message in a way that is palatable for young people and that's interesting, and they're sort of on board with it, and they think there's benefit in that. So I'm very much interested in the same question, or our whole team is. And yeah, it's definitely sort of trying to find something that young people really connect with, and that's really relevant for them in their lives right now, in their age group. And and something like mental health, for example, is, could be something that people are interested in, that young people are wanting to talk about. But yeah, I'm just putting it out there that this is, a big question for us as well.
Yeah.
How to actually do that.
Yeah, I also want to add to that. I think it has two aspects, because one is obviously the creative part of it. So that's if you give something to an artist, or the artist has this need for expressing themselves, that's not necessarily directed for a particular audience. It's just what naturally happens, and that's the need that artists have. And I think and I'm assuming that also that's part of Dolma's idea behind creating this verse to music, is that we offer this platform, this opportunity for artists to express themselves through the medium of Dharma texts and their music. And that creates awareness, so that more and more people who are somehow thinking about this. For example, myself, I love music. My initial main drive was reggae music. So the first recordings I did were based on reggae. But then these other things happened, and that was mainly because of these events. But I'm not creating these songs with somebody particular in mind, but I just play around with the words, and then I'm not a musician. I don't read sheets, so I cannot write music. But I play a few chords, and things just come up. And I think that's it's really about, in my view, creating that culture. And then the audience will manifest itself if that awareness is brought out through things like what we are doing here, YouTube, and so on.
Can I add something on that too? I was thinking, there's this weird disconnect. I mean, everybody knows the power of music, and there'd hardly be anybody in the world who doesn't tap into that power and the inspiration of that medium. I mean, of all the art forms, it has the power to move you so strongly and to be so inspirational and joyful and, express the full range of emotion. So I think it's something that we all take for granted as being this powerful force, but somehow there's this disconnect with the Dharma in particular, whereby it hasn't yet kind of just become this very natural, normal, kind of energetic thing that we use as a support. So I'm really looking forward to the day when, like in Tibet, where you have lay people just jumping up and dancing for a sok tune, and, where tunes become so naturally part of your expression of just being human and joy and all of the things that Dharma touches upon. I guess our goal is to one day hopefully make Western practitioners feel so at home singing these prayers and songs in their practice and dancing to that and kind of expressing it in an energetic way like that it becomes part of the Dharma culture without us having to force it.
Dolma, can we jump in for a moment?
Yeah, love this question and all the discussions around it. And I just had one little thing to add, very similar to Christians. I have a belief that ideas or art is its own, has its own Shakti, is its own energy, and she'll find her way through an artist and come into the world, and will find the people that she needs to reach. And they say when the land, when the people are ready, she'll show up in full might. So I feel like as artists, our work is to just create a channel that's open to receive these medicines and keep birthing them, and then put it out there, and then the art itself will find its audience, will find its people, will be the medicine it has to be. Yeah, so that's what I feel like the journey of this should be like. Yeah.
Thanks, Deepa.
Maybe so.
I think, one thing that comes to mind, I live in Taiwan, which is a Mahayana country. And so I've been meeting a lot of people who are born into Buddhism in East Asia, and then also some experience in South Asia. Or Southeast Asia. And something that I've realized, and what I think we should be a little bit aware of, is how flavored by Vajrayana our framing of this of the music as a role in kind of this like spontaneous expression and celebration and freedom and dance and kind of like joy, unbridled joy. It really is, it's exclusive to Vajrayana, I would say, as far as what I've heard and what I've understood. And so I think just an awareness of that and contextualization, where in a place like Malaysia, for example, or Thailand, this kind of thing would be received very differently. Which is to say, not to say that there shouldn't be music, but the form of the music and the style of the music would have to take a different form. I'm all for the ecstatic celebration, actually. But just to kind of, some awareness of the framing of that. And the other thing I want to, just put forward is just looking at how popular spiritual festivals are already in the yoga and new age and electronic music and all of that. It's huge. And so many things are being plagiarized from Buddhism, basically. And how much interest there is in quote unquote Tantra. But what little how few links there are. So the audience is there. There's so many festivals worldwide with thousands of people going, but I think we Buddhists have been siloed in our own little thing, and so I think beginning with just an awareness, an appreciation, and a respect for what the New Age and psychedelic and yoga and non-Buddhist spiritual people have accomplished and their intention. And I shouldn't even say they, but see, it's already coming out in the language. But being able
Sorry, I'm just reminded of the Chögyam Trungpa book, Cutting Through Spiritual Materialism. It's like such an amazing book, speaking to exactly what you're touching on.
Yeah, I mean, I think I grew up kind of looking down on spiritual materialists, and then I have to think, no, wait a minute, like I shouldn't just like discount, all of this stuff that people are doing. So being able to like enter that and maybe having an awareness of one's own spiritual materialism. But also Trungpa Rinpoche, I think, as far as I understand, he was very appreciative of all that stuff that was going on because it was a fertile ground, and somehow I think to a large degree the Buddhists we've gone one way, and then the other spiritual people, they've gone another way. There's not a lot of links happening. So I hope there can be more. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like, sorry, Alison, I was just going to jump in and say it sounds like we need not only a musical retreat, but a big festival as well.
You guys let me know if you want to come to the Wonder Fruit Festival.
Okay, fantastic. And we need to get the Tibetan artists in particular, somehow give them a little bit more of a voice, because I was just thinking, Gesar, of like the way that Westerners kind of appropriate all of this stuff and then forget it's the roots, and you've got all of these amazing, talented Tibetan refugees who are producing this incredible music who are just kind of forgotten a little bit. So I'm really, really excited and interested in how we can keep collaborating with you to give them a voice and a platform, and particularly to help you also with your nonprofit translation project, to be able to add subtitles to their clips so that they also can get a broader audience, and become part of the world that we're already in with our music.
Can I add something? It's kind of funny. I mean, for artists, it just comes down to enabling them, and giving them money, so that they can actually create and do their thing. And, as far as like the Tibetan community, I look at Bhutan in particular, which just, decided together to nurture film in Bhutan. And look what's happened in the last couple decades there. It's just, it's amazing. And if you look at their videos, they're all translated. Yeah, and I have all these ideas as far as like one of the things in my vision of what I would love to do would to be able to create. Also, the other example is like K-pop. That South Korean government put this insane amount of money into creating this industry, and all of a sudden it's this worldwide, well known. In my head, it's like, let's do something like that for the Tibetans. Let's try to offer them. I can do some version that's like a little Band-Aid type thing by doing some subtitles. But let's give them access to equipment, studios, training, support, venues, invite them to festivals in the West, and anyways, yeah, it comes down to at the end of the day, giving them resources. And it's just, I do a little bit feel like the only thing I worry about is like, I just feel like, to some degree, like things have changed a little bit for the Tibetan community in that there's not as many Tibetans coming over now. So it's kind of like, it's, how do I put it? It's like there may be less unity for the younger ones coming in, because they won't all be going to the same schools. They won't have as much of a culture of other people that came at the same time. They won't have the support and the people they can go to, and maybe they'll meet them. But I think, particularly this batch right now, this next like 5 years, it's really important to offer them a venue and support and money, because they're just super talented. It's one thing I really think about these Tibetans. It's like there's a very small audience for their music, but the level of talent is just, like so far beyond the size of the audience that they deserve support. Yeah.
Well, I think it's time, everybody. So maybe we can wrap up here. And just Gesar, thank you so much for coming to this event, for sharing your projects, for sharing all of your thoughts on this whole topic, and especially for letting us have a glimpse into the talent that you're working with. I really look forward to seeing your documentary very much.
Yeah, thank you, Dolma. Thank you, everyone. And I'm so grateful to hear everyone's creations as well. It's been really amazing, and I'm sure I'll be in touch with a lot of you at some point again. And Dolma, of course, when the film comes out, you guys can all do your part to at least put it out there and put it on your Instagram or Facebook or whatever you do, Twitter. X, whatever it is. Thank you all. Thank you for having me, and thank you for giving us a venue for this. I super appreciate everyone. Thank you.
Thanks for coming, Gesar. Thanks all the musicians.
Yeah, thanks so much, all of the musicians and artists and singers who collaborated. And I'm always amazed by your generosity and how, like, the enthusiasm with which you guys respond to my call outs when we have these Verse to Music. It touches me so much because nobody's making any money from any of this. And you guys are doing it out of love of your heart and passion for the medium and also the message. And I just appreciate it so much. And I want you to know also that I'm continuing the fight to get it funded. Like, I'd love to see the big funding bodies understand the importance of the role of music in transmitting these kind of, not just the teachings, but also to create community and culture. So it's a work in progress. But in the meantime, thank you so much for your generosity, your creations, your inspiration, the beautiful things that you come up with, which always blow me away. And we will probably try to have a Verse to Music session twice a year or maybe 3 times a year. That's kind of like our goal at the moment. So we'll let you know when the next one is. But also make sure you spread the word to other musicians and artists so that they, I really love to give people an opportunity also to have their work have an audience. So the more musicians and artists we have contributing, the better. So thank you so much, all of you, for coming. And thanks, Christian and Zach, for emceeing and doing such a great job.
It was fun. Thanks for having us.
Thank you, everyone. It was really amazing. I enjoyed it a lot. See you all soon again, hopefully, yeah?
See you all soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Be well.
Thank you.
Bye.